Hey guys, this is Wolf Atlas here, bringing you another episode of War Divisions, and this is the Nightmare Quest for a Meal to Remember Vision card that features Zazan on the artwork. I have to say it's a really good artwork, showing him eating a meal, and the description is pretty much him reminiscing of the past, especially with him and Ryu. But enough about the card. Here's the quest. The quest is going to return later on. This was part of the Tetris Sylphie event. When we have raid reruns, this will appear again. So don't worry about missing if you missed out on the card. Card's not essential. It's just if you're a collector of cards, then you might want it. But anyway, this map has a 40 turn limit if you want to do all missions clear, and a 6 hit chain mission if on top of the normal no KOs, no higher, and clear all missions at the same time. I went in with a Model Ice MR team because most of the units are wind, but there are fire units and water units on this map and one earth unit that you don't really have to worry about. The two units that you do have to worry about on this map are the two fire units, Raldor, who appears later, and the Hunter fire unit, because he will disable your units. So you want to have some disable resistance or kill him fast. Because if you're trying to go for all missions, then you want to have that handy, because he's going to be a little bit far away for you to get him right off the bat. So he's gonna land at least one disable on someone, and unless you have the resistance, it's gonna land. Another tip for this map is to bring someone that is capable of charming, or having Fina's bow equipped on someone, because Zazan is susceptible to charm, and if you charm him, he'll help you out in the map big time. It's kind of fitting because Zazan is like a higher mercenary, and he could easily switch sides if you quote unquote charm him good enough. So those are the two major tips I could give on this map. Other than that, the map's not too bad. Raldor just appeared now. Lucia is gonna appear later, and a Cactuar is going to appear. When the Cactuar appears, you want to kill him quick, because he does 10,000 needles, and that will KO someone, unless you have your tank over 10k HP when he does it. So as you can see here, I did a charm onto Zazan, and he's gonna help me do this 40 clear mission using the units I have, because when it comes to the 40 turn clear missions, it is not easy doing it with MR units, because they don't hit as hard as UR units. Well, not all of them. Some do, some don't. It just wasn't easy. Here, I had to be careful, because after killing this guy, I want to still remain out of sight of that archer, because if my tank here, she's about to die, and there's a unit that there's a Kodama wielder that will come and cast a spell to try to KO her, but because he's casting a spell to KO her, he's gonna try to shoot disable onto someone else. So in this moment, I pretty much start setting up to try to get units out the way, so that that archer only goes after my tank, or if he tries to go after someone else, then let him do a different move like dispel spread, because again, I don't need anyone disabled except for my tank. My tank being disabled is fine, because all she's there for is to tank and do some damage. But her being disabled, not a huge deal. I don't need my healer. You don't want your healers to be disabled, because once your healer is disabled, that's pretty much a wrap. So here I start moving a little bit out of range of the archer as I kill units, because I killed that unit. Vestral and Lucia and the Cactuar will appear. I have everyone in a plus shape formation, which helps Zazan do some damage to all of them. As you can see here, the spell spread was used instead of arm shot because it was out of sight. So now everyone's still going after my tank, which is fine. And here is where I could start moving in. It says Macloid has the max MAX Esper, which helps with ice damage. Here I was trying to figure out how to place it without breaking charm onto Zazan, because I need him to be charmed as much as possible while dealing with everyone else. If your units are smacking their units left and right easy, you don't have to worry about charming Zazan, but it just helps. So just bringing Steel Heart or Venus Bow, he'll get charmed pretty easily because he's really weak to it. Some units are weak to Immobilize. Raldor and the Cactuar are two units that are susceptible to immobilization. So if they are issued to you, then immobilize them and hit them from far, which is what I did with Raldor, because Raldor is an issue when you're doing this with mono ice, because again he hits hard. As you can see here, Cactuar did 10,000 needles, but he targeted my tank, so it wasn't too much of a big deal. Everyone else is still alive. I could just revive the tank. You want to also bring a lot of AoE attacks because you're trying to clear this within 40 turns. So the more AoE attacks you have, the faster you could kill units on the map. After Lucia, Lucia comes out. I think Lucia is part of like the last wave. So after she comes out, that's how you know that you're pretty much like done with the waves, and it just goes from there. So here I got my tank up, and the only thing I'm missing right now is just the 6 chain mission. So because Shell is a time mage and Macloid has access to a quad shot, here I did quad shot on Raldor, pretty much chaining onto Raldor. Raldor is probably the best unit to chain on, but the Earth tank that's on this map is another unit you could chain on. Everyone else is kind of too weak to chain on, but it's just something to keep in mind. Since I have access to Quicken, here's when I did the Quicken onto Macloid so I could get that chain buff going. And I was able to clear that and kill Raldor at the same time. So that's done. It's pretty easy to do the chain mission. Just bring someone that could do 3 hits or 4 hits, and if you have a time mage, use Quicken right afterwards and you'll be able to get it done. Just make sure the unit you chained on doesn't get a turn. So here Varush did his counter and broke Zazan's chain, but at this point it's just Zazan, Varush, and Lucia. Lucia, you do have to watch out for. You don't want to leave her unattended because she will cast slow onto your units, which is not a bad thing because the slower your units, the less turns will pass, because turns are based on as soon as your unit starts an action. So it's not so bad if she does cast slow on your units, but at the same time you don't want certain units to be slow. Like here, Macula got slowed, and he's the like the damage dealer of the group, and I don't want him to be slow because I need to finish this mission pretty quickly. Here I did Shell's 120 skill, which is Aurora Ice. It's a pretty good move as long as you have imperil effect, all elemental resistance down on the units, is gonna hit hard. And because both her and Valade are green mages, they both have access to Imperil. So it's easy for him to cast Imperil and then her to cast a road right off the bat for easy chain, big damage, and the map effect of Ice Imperil definitely helps reach the cap. So as you can see here, the only person left is Varush. He's not much of an issue. You could probably save him for last. He just hits hard. That's pretty much it. But because he's wind and everyone's ice, everyone's able to take that. Everyone was able to take him down pretty easy, or take his hits pretty easy. It's not a big deal. So overall, the map's not hard. The two units you just have to worry about are Raldor and Hunter, because the Hunter will do arm shot on you, and then go from there. So as you can see, all missions clear. One thing I hate about the 40 turn limit is that there's no counter. So when I'm doing these types of missions, I have to count aloud how many turns have gone. So every time a character goes 1 and 2, and you can easily forget what turn you're on when you're doing your actions. So I wish Gumi will later in the future implement put a turn counter. So if they're gonna get these types of missions. Other than that, here's pretty much the team breakdown and the items I use. McAloy here had a +6 Ice Lance and a +5 on Dornlet for more damage. He was pretty much the main damage dealer. Bells does have pink trust stones on it. I'm trying to get more pink trust stones onto units. It's just not easy getting the stats you want because RNG is a factor, and I kind of hate having to dismantle over and over and over and over. But I'm taking the process slow. At least the farming wise is not a big deal anymore because the background farming, superb. I love it. I'm glad they added that in. I keep forgetting to put it on, but I'm glad they added it. Nasha here is the tank. She has the Bale helmet. That's from, I believe, Final Fantasy 4 event. I could be wrong on that, but that has this disable resistance. Another item that has disabled resistance is the defense bracelet. So that you can use that as well. That also gives missile resistance for the first 3 turns, so that's something to keep in mind. I had her hold the Death Machine because Death Machine not only gives me defense up, but also gives me fire resistance and missile resistance. And it was just fitting for this map because that's what the Hunter is. The Hunter is a fire archer, so it was just perfect to use that. And just in case I needed more missile chains, Death Machine is Esper that does missile damage. But you could use any Esper as long as they have missile resistance and fire resistance or defense. Well, for the ice team, but you know, the Esper wasn't too important. It just helped. And I know Death Machine is limited. He only came during the Final Fantasy 1 event, so I just say as long as your Esper has fire resistance and or missile resistance, you're fine. Valade is the healer of the group, but also assists with damage with Instant and Pearl. I gave him the Steel Maiden's necklace, but I really didn't need it. It was just extra heals. King Curry was the secondary damage dealer, and he was there to assist McAloy with some chaining because he is a missile unit himself. Oh, I went back because I forgot to show off Valor. I like Valor as an Esper because he has that Ecovation gauge acquisition up bonuses, so it helps get the Esper out sooner. I should have probably gave him the Mastral Rod for to increase it even further, but it was good enough, so it wasn't a big deal. Okay, so yeah, now I'm on King Curry again. He was just there to assist Malcolm with chains and to hold Phoenix Bow, so we could chain, charm Zazan. That was pretty much it. Since some units, enemy units, were susceptible to frostbite, he also helps with that because he has an increased chance of doing frostbite. So just keep that in mind. A lot of the wind units are susceptible to frostbite, so it just helps out. I think the archer is also susceptible to frostbite, but I don't know if I tagged him with that or not. But in some runs I did, some runs I didn't. Shell here, Shell. I think it's Shell. I think it is Shell. Shell, she has access to Steel Heart, because she does have Thief sub job, but because she has Time Mage sub job as well, I had to choose between Thief or Time, and I went with Time Mage because Quicken and Haste just helps out so much, especially when the one of the missions is to clear within 40 turns, and the other mission is the chaining mission, so there's that. I gave her Floating Eye Esper because it was kind of fitting. It helped with her magic. Gave her TP because she's mostly support, and it had some pierce resistance and some fire resistance on top of that. Everyone's weak to fire because they're all ice, so it just felt fitting. Again, any Esper will do as long as it's fire resistance or missile. But I hope my commentary for this video was great. I'll see you guys next time. Laters.